Hey everyone, Scott Bound. So I'm a senior director for data and AI. So my day job is we work with all the sports leagues and teams. So I spend a lot of time with the NBA, NHL, NFL, MLS. We also cover all the sports leagues and the basic broadcasters, etc. A lot of my time is really dedicated to sports and sports media. So what I wanted to do is really talk about how AI is actually changing sports. And I think if and glad the guys before me kind of set the stage a little bit, but really what you should take away is every app will be reinvented with AI, and you're going to have new apps and ways to. And I'm thinking about this both from a fan experience standpoint as well as a team coaching performance standpoint. So what's really important from an AI stack, and I'm going to talk about some examples across the board. Everything's getting a lot of attention around Gen AI, Open AI. Yeah, that's important, but there's also different things. There's straight up machine learning. There's cloud services. How these all roll up, into other tools, into co-pilots, as well as one thing I'm glad they mentioned is what really makes all this work is data. We're not talking about using a Gen AI model, whether it's whether it's GPT-4, 4.0, Vision, whatever. It really needs to do with your data. So I want to talk about some real world examples and things that we're working on with customers. So probably the biggest case we have is really with the NBA. So we are partnered with the NBA. Over the last couple of years, we worked with them. The NBA now hosts their own direct-to-consumer Game Pass that was a partnership with us in the NBA. We actually run it for the NBA. And the key thing here, this isn't about video. This is about personalization. This is about user experience. And this is really data driven. So when you see this, this is about me as a fan in the app and giving me the information and experience to keep you engaged there. Now, and this is actually from last year. The proof's in the pudding. So if you think about it from last year, and this is, the NBA season is a lot of games, right? And what's actually in there. The first year we did 1 billion views inside the app. Which is, and that was last year, not even this year. And really what that tells you is this is not about how good the video looks. This is about personalization. This is about targeting. This is about fan engagement and really collecting all that data. So, hey, Scott lives in New York City. He's a Knicks fan, but he likes to follow Jimmy Butler and, somebody else. So really understanding how I want to engage. And the other thing to really keep in mind with the NBA is it's also their impact around the world. So when you start thinking about it, it's just not the US market, it's really your impact. So in this case, AI is really being used for personalization inside the app. So all that data, all the ML inside of there. Another one that's very cool, and this is actually a brand new case study that just came out last month, is this is also the team at the NBA who does stats. So if you guys are involved with sports, you probably heard about Hawkeye, you know about Hawkeye. They actually get, I think it's 29 data points on every person on the court every 60 times a second. So what you're looking at is huge. They have the cameras around the court that tracking all these body positions. And what the NBA wants to do is from two sides, right? One is how can teams use this from a team management coaching standpoint, but also from a fans are very interested in stats. How can you actually engage this, do overlays, make someone really provided for stats? And you'll see this with the NBA where they're offering different experiences. So, they had one that was about Nike. They did with Nike as an ultimate stream, kind of like the Manning cast, but they were talking about fashion on the court, what shoes and people were wearing. There's even ones they're doing with all around stats. So you can go super geeky in stats. So just to give you an idea, here's some of the stuff they're actually providing. This is actually from the case study on the website. This is a video of a 3D animation. So once again, what you actually are tracking is you're tracking all the data points. You're tracking people's movement, their feet, their hands, everything. When you shoot that 3-pointer, and I know there's one where Steph Curry shot this 3-pointer, I think it was last year, anyway. But anyway, they can tell you that, hey, here's where he went. That shot was actually 19 feet, 1 inch off the ground, high arcing. So once again, from a stat standpoint, if one of these players move, how do they move? And teams are actually using this not only in the games that's in the arenas. You actually have actual teams putting Hawkeye into their practice facilities to really embracing analytics and how we can do this from a coaching standpoint. So that's very cool. Um, the other thing that if you start thinking about Gen AI, there's a lot of different use cases around sports. So once again, the personalization, chatbots, assistants. I'll show you a demo of that. Summarization, player performance. There's all types of data out there that you can think about from a coaching standpoint. Also, I think what's really key, and this is also think about accessibility and broadening your audience base with language transition processing. So I want to show you a couple examples of this as well. So this right here is a screenshot of the NBA app on my phone. The the digital rights protection on the phone, that's actually the game. So this was a game. This was, I think, game 6 with Dallas and Minnesota. So once again, typical things you see, but you'll see this new tab. There's this new tab here that says Insight. So this is something that we launched probably less than a month ago with the NBA. So what this is taking their stats feeds and offering insights in the game about what's happening. And I'll give you a perfect example. So in this game, this right here, actually, on this night, I actually went to dinner with my wife. And I think by the time I got home, the game was already going on. So I can jump right in. And this is the end, beyond things that are happening in the game from the stats. This is the end of quarter summary. So this is telling me that, hey, at the end of the quarter, the Mavericks were leading, give you some things there from a Dallas perspective, what's happening from a Timberwolves standpoint. But think about this also as key things that are happening. So think about here with about 2 minutes left. Hey, Anthony Edwards just, he's got 9 assists, 27 points. Hey, the Timberwolves just won an 11-2 run, and they actually took the lead back from Dallas. So I'm finding out these things that are giving me insights as a fan, as well as jumping in later. I flipped over to something else. I just want to see what's going on inside of there. We also are working with them too. When this first came out, we actually it was only running during the game. And that's because, NBA is very concerned about stats. So, hey, if I say someone just got a triple double and the referees overturned that assist and he only had 9 assists instead of 10, he doesn't have the triple double. So they also wanted to double check. So this is actually available. So if you look at last night's game, not sure how exciting it would be, but you can actually see the same thing. So here's the end of the game. You can say, hey, despite Luka doing 7 points, here's what's happened. Hey, here's here's an idea from a Maverick standpoint. And really, hey, for the Timberwolves, they really, in the fourth quarter, really, Towns and Edwards really drove them, as well as their great shooting. So once again, this right here is actually taking all the data feed from the NBA that's actually going into Azure OpenAI models. That's actually now generating this basically kind of color commentary insights that's being injected into the app as something to give fans more engagement inside of there. Another great example is something we did. This is currently in beta. Well, we did this really quick last year at the finals. This is actually the can I jump ahead? So this is actually an Ask NBA bot. So once again, you're thinking about asking information about this. So with the NBA too, this is all about, I can ask any type of statistics, like, who's got the most 3-pointers in the NBA finals. Now, the way this is working, this is a little bit different. The demo they showed earlier was creating like a chatbot. What this is actually doing is this is taking natural language, converting that to SQL, actually querying databases, pulling that data back, and then formatting that with an OpenAI model, and then also using another OpenAI model to double check it to make sure we have there. So once again, hey, Steph Curry has the most 3-pointers. Hey, who's got the highest NBA finals? I wanted to know if you played at least 4 games. And this is actually just a screen capture that I actually did, so I didn't have to worry about bandwidth. And the last one too. So these are things that were in the past. I just was asking, this was before the final start, like, hey, who's played the most minutes in the playoffs this year? And you'll notice even I just noticed that I even have a typo. I was supposed to say 2024, but it actually says, hey, in the 2023-24 playoffs, Luka has the most. So that gives you an idea of like how you can actually interact with people. And once again, there's a lot of work here. There's a lot lot of work about, hey, you have to think about content moderation. You got to think about security around this. You got to remember that there are probably people who are trying to do things to make your systems do things they don't want to. They may ask questions that are inappropriate. So screening inputs, screening outputs, think about your target demo. So these are type of things that we're actually building with other people. Now, the last thing I wanted to share real quick is, once again, there are so much things that are going on the global audience. So this is a service we just announced it last month. It actually does video dubbing. So I actually took this is a
Microsoft. I really want today give you a really quick
30-second clip. You don't have to hear me talk. So I said, hey, how
Microsoft. I really want today
get that into another language. So this is Spanish, and
de Microsoft. Realmente quiero darles hoy un breve resumen del viaje de Microsoft en soluciones de IA. Si echamos un vistazo a dónde estamos.
So what you'll notice is that is my voice. It's not just a built-in. You can totally do it with a built-in voice. The auto voices, we have all kinds of voices and accent are there today, and it's actually pretty funny. My mother-in-law is actually Mexican. So we actually called her like last week before I did this demo for somebody, and it was like, hey, my wife called saying, hey, Scott's been working on Spanish over the weekend. What do you think? And we played this for her. So once again, in the case of
Desde Microsoft, realmente quiero darles hoy un breve resumen.
Another one that's really important is the China market. It's so huge.
我真的很想快速的给大家概述一下微软在 AI 解决方案方面的旅程。
So once again, think about how this could change. So once again, a lot of what you see on social media, it's English only. A lot of things that we actually also look at. So imagine if you had a clip that you want to post on Instagram or anywhere. Now that one is you could caption. Now you can actually auto dub it. This would be a post, right? So this is, hey, here are my clips. You actually upload it. If you have multiple voices, you can actually have, so maybe perhaps me and Ron were having a conversation. I could have two different, Spanish voices for each of us. So once again, that's actually some real practical implementations of AI that we're using across the league. I know I had a lot of NBA examples. We're engaged with a lot of other customers. We work not only at the league level, but also at the team level. So you're seeing AI models at a team level to help them look at analytics on who to draft or free agents, all the way to some of that stuff that you saw around Hawkeye data, to more on the marketing and an operations side, where, hey, how can I bring things in from that standpoint as well? So once again, feel free to reach out to me and my team. We actually work with I saw some folks here from different leagues and teams, and if you're not part of this, for example, in academics, and for colleges, we can connect you to the right people. But it's really the same technology. And once again, just want to share a quick view of some of the cool stuff that we're working on. So with that, I will turn it back to you, Ron, and I think I'm only 4 minutes over.